Good morning, everyone, and we are the representative of group number 5 of ABM 11 Trio. And today, we will tell you the nature, the perspective, and the goals of sociology. Now, let's move on to the nature of sociology. What is the nature of sociology? Sociology studies about human societies, their interactions, and how they change and function. But what is their nature of sociology? We have sociology because humans are naturally curious and impacted by the societies they live in. Now, Emile Durkheim of 1858 to 1917, he is the French humanist that made the biggest commitment to the development of social scientific discipline. And the last one is Auguste Comte of 1798 to 1857. He describes sociology as new way of thinking about societies as system governed by principles of organization and change.
And now let's move on to the perspective of sociology. But first, let's find out what is the meaning of macro-sociology and micro-sociology. Macro-sociology focuses on large-scale patterns and structures like economic systems, political institutions, and social trends. It examines how these broad forces shapes our lives and the society. While micro-sociology delves into the smaller-scale world of interactions, focusing on how individuals and groups behave in a specific social context or situation. Now let's go to the interactionist perspective. This is a good example of micro-sociology. This theory is sometimes called the symbolic interactionist perspective because it argues that our behavior is deeply influenced by definitions and symbolic means. So, ang ibig sabihin nito ay, for example, if someone labels you as a kind person, it can influence your actions or behavior. Another example would be a situation in which you know the specific date of when the world is going to end. Of course, it can influence your actions. Next is the functionalist perspective, also known as the structural functionalism. The functionalist perspective is a more traditional example of macro-sociology. It has a heavy emphasis on the interconnected relationships between various systems within society. In other words, it tends to be more concerned with how part and whole influence each other. So, ang ibig sabihin nito, ang society ay binubuo ng mga parts, and each parts has their own functions and they need to collaborate or work together in order to have a balance or stability in our society. And next is the conflict perspective. The conflict perspective looks at society as being composed of groups with their own distinct interests. This theory originates from Karl Marx, who viewed human society as undergoing a series of different stages of economic development. So, ang ibig sabihin nito ay, for example, ang mga mayayaman ay patuloy na yumayaman, habang ang mga mahihirap ay patuloy na humihirap. So, the social institutions benefits those who are more powerful and privileged with the expense of those who are less fortunate. So now let's go to the goals of sociology. For the first goal is how membership in one social group affects individual being. Next is how cultures and institutions interact in different societies. And next is the meaning and consequences of modernity, postmodernity, and the new globalization.
The fourth goal is the causes and consequences of social change in terms of general causes and effects as well as unique historical circumstances. The fifth one is the the causes and consequences of population, composition, and pressures and how population affects the environment and development of societies. The last goal, the sixth one of sociology, is to provide information that reflects upon different policy initiatives. And I am Shane Princess T. Pelayo.
And I'm Sarah Venus G. Reyes.
And this is the group number 5 that represents of sociology.